And now it's time for Vantage Shots, images that tell the story. India celebrates Army Day with a grand parade in Jaipur. US Secretary of War Pete Hegseth and Japan's Defense Minister trained together with the US Army's Old Guard. And NASA's Crew 11 Dragon splashes down upon returning to Earth. Finally, we are taking you back in history. On this day in 2001, Wikipedia was launched. It's an online encyclopedia, free for all. The name is a mix of the Hawaiian word wiki, which means quick, and encyclopedia. As of 2025, Wikipedia had 66 million articles and in 300 languages. We're leaving you on that note. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
भस्म करे भारत की पवित्र धरती से उठ बड़े ही शान से सलामी मंच के सामने से गुजरता हुआ
for protection of own critical assets and ground forces against war
की कहानी एवं भारतीय सेना के परफॉर्म से ट्रांसफॉर्म को सहारा देते हुए आप देख रहे हैं, जो बता रहा है कि आज जन जन से जुड़ रही है भारतीय सेना। लहराता तिरंगा कैमरा से लैस दुश्मन की साजिशें नाकाम करते हैं। बड़े ही शान
Smoke filled the streets Wednesday night near the site of the latest shooting in Minneapolis, as federal officers fired tear gas into a small crowd. Protesters responded by throwing rocks and shooting fireworks. A federal immigration officer had shot and wounded a Minneapolis man who had attacked him with a shovel and broom handle.
I urge anyone that is at the scene to leave immediately.
In response, President Donald Trump has now threatened to invoke the Insurrection Act and deploy troops to quell the unrest. The latest shooting has intensified the sense of fear and anger radiating across the city, a week after an immigration agent fatally shot mother of three, Renee Good, in the head. Around the same time as the Wednesday shooting, the Minnesota governor addressed residents and President Trump live.
Let's be very, very clear. This long ago stopped being a matter of immigration enforcement. Instead, it's a campaign of organized brutality against the people of Minnesota by our own federal government. So tonight, let me say once again to Donald Trump and Kristi Noem, end this occupation. You've done enough.
Trump has repeatedly threatened to invoke the rarely used federal law to deploy the U.S. military or federalize the National Guard for domestic law enforcement over the objections of state governors. In a statement describing the events that led to Wednesday's shooting, Homeland Security said the agent feared for his life after he was, quote, ambushed by three people.
This is a moment for the country. I mean, the president is acting in a lawless way. He's got an ICE agency acting as his private police. They're knocking on people's doors, American citizens' doors, and taking away their freedom. They shot to death a 37-year-old mother.
Look, we need to take every incident with review and concern, and that's why it's deeply concerning to me that this administration and ICE is unwilling to work with local and state law enforcement to get to the bottom of what really has happened. We should all want that. We should all want to lower the temperature across this country. And so I think we should be able to fund and support law enforcement in a way that also holds it accountable.
It's been made very clear by Governor Walz and all of the authorities that they are in control of the situation, that the protests are overwhelmingly peaceful, that the abuses of ICE are being investigated. We will continue to investigate them. But Minnesota has been very clear that they do not want the intervention of the federal government. But just like California last year, where Donald Trump sent the military in improperly, and the courts actually agreed with that and said that he lacked the authority to do so. Once again, he's pushing the boundaries of the rule of law.
In the immediate moment on DHS funding, it is the case that we have some power of the purse here, and we can get some guardrails and accountability in, and without those, we should not fund this lawlessness from ICE and CBP.
Trump threatened invoking the Insurrection Act today in Truth Social. I'm wondering what his tipping point is. Like, what would it take for him to invoke the Insurrection Act?
Look, that's only a question, frankly, Reagan, the president can answer. But the Insurrection Act is a tool at the president's disposal. As you know, it has been used sparingly, but it has been used by previous presidents in American history. And I think the president's Truth Social post spoke very loud and clear to Democrats across this country, elected officials who are using their platforms to encourage violence against federal law enforcement officers, who are encouraging left-wing agitators to unlawfully obstruct legitimate law enforcement operations. And the Democrat Party has demeaned these individuals. They've even referred to them as Nazis and as the Gestapo. And that is absolutely leading to the violence we're seeing in the streets. If you look at some of the images out of Minneapolis last night, look at this vehicle. Look at what it says. It says F ICE. You have these individuals who are putting their middle finger, proudly so, at the camera. Another ICE individual, a vehicle that was vandalized last night by these left-wing agitators. People don't do this without encouragement from people in power who make them feel like it's okay. And it's truly shameful that now for more than a year, you've had elected Democrat governors and mayors who have basically held their state and local law enforcement hostage and told them, you cannot cooperate with federal law enforcement. Why? They cooperated under the Biden administration. It's because these Democrats are deranged in their hatred for President Trump, and they are holding their state and local law enforcement hostage as a result.
So it's been over 2 weeks since the American troops attacked Venezuela and then captured its president, Nicolas Maduro. Trump hailed the operation as simply brilliant. And now it slowly appears that the United States may have used a mystery secret weapon that brought the Venezuelan soldiers to their knees during the Maduro raid. Is this the same weapon which caused the Havana syndrome? Our next report gets you more details.
A daring operation which shocked the world. First a blackout, then multiple explosions across Venezuela. U.S. helicopters rain fire over Caracas. Elite U.S. commandos enter into presidential compound. Within moments, the president of the country was captured and taken out of the country. According to a witness account shared by the White House press secretary, those under fire said it felt like their heads were being torn apart from the inside out. The U.S. attack that led to Venezuelan leader Maduro's capture in Caracas left 100 people dead and dozens more wounded. So, what was this mystery weapon? While the White House and the Pentagon are silent, reports have now emerged that the U.S. may have acquired a device which causes the Havana syndrome. Reports say that the U.S. military acquired a directed energy device. Officials reportedly said they paid 8 figures for the device, while declining to offer a more specific number. The Havana syndrome, it refers to an enigma posed by the baffling symptoms that had plagued U.S. personnel. U.S. embassy officials had first reported the mystery symptoms in 2016. The Cuban capital Havana, diplomats complained about hearing strange noises and experiencing head pressure, followed by headache, migraines, dizziness, and memory lapses. Now, the device, reportedly acquired by U.S., produces pulsed radio waves. Although the device is not entirely Russian in origin, according to CNN, it contains Russian components. Experts have long pointed out that such a device works by beaming high-intensity radio frequencies or microwaves directly at a target, causing thermal expansion in the inner ear and brain tissue. It creates a sonic boom inside the head that the outside world never hears. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Shalom, giving all praises, honor, and glory to our power, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Rachakurash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders, a great millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect of the tabernacles of David, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, and wherever you may be. Wherever you may be to, I say Shalom, Yeshua, Shalom. All right, going to get into something brief here. When I was looking at some news and I saw something, and I want to pull it up to see what it was about, because there's been a lot of talk about Esau and, the so-called power of his might, right? His weaponry, his technology, which he possesses, which he does have a lot of things known, but he also has things unknown, which he's going to unleash, all right, in this Third World War. And a lot of that is going to be on, American citizens. So I want to read this thing. It's called the Pentagon Havana Tech, all right? Pentagon Havana Tech. So the Pentagon secretly acquired and has been testing a portable device that some investigators believe may be linked to the Havana Syndrome, officially known as Anomalous Health Incidents, or AHI. AHI. The device, which contains a Russian manufactured components and emits pulsed radio frequency energy, which we have down below. I typed it in, so we'll go down there when we end this. But pulsed radio frequency energy was obtained for an 8-figure dollar amount in late 2024 through a covert operation by Homeland Security Investigations, or HSI, using Pentagon funds. So key details of the device. Technology. It emits pulsed radio waves. All right. It emits pulsed radio waves. And, the same thing came to mind. Not saying this is exactly what it is, but the same thing came to mind when I read this as I did when, the news about the what they did to the Venezuelan troops with the thing, all right, came out. And I was like, well, man, that's the same thing they had in the Incredible Hulk movie. I believe, if I'm correct, it was the very first Incredible Hulk movie where they had these tanks that was pushing like this, not even so, because it's not a sonar, but this little pulse rate thing or whatever, and he was trying to fight against it. It was real hard, and then eventually he did the what they call the thunderclap, when he claps his hands together and he broke the machines off the tank. I mean, not the tanks, but the vehicles. Okay, now I'm not saying that's exactly what Esau has, but I'm just saying that's what came to mind when I saw that about the technology they use supposedly against the Venezuelan troops. And then reading this also, I'm like, man, that's pretty much the same thing. Of course, the Hulk didn't bleed out of his eyes and ears and stuff like that, and his nose or whatever, throw up. But I'm just making a point. And if I'm correct, that was the very first movie, or it was the second movie, because there were 2 different actors in each one. And I don't know the name of those actors. I've seen them before, but I don't know their names. Because there was the original movie had one actor, and the second movie had another actor. And then, those were the original, Incredible Hulk movies before the Marvel Cinematic Universe took over and, kind of restarted Hulk and everything. But yeah, you probably know what I'm talking about too if you watched that scene when those trucks came. So it says the device is compact and can reportedly fit into a backpack. And I may actually get cut off here, but we'll see. I have to pause or something. But we'll keep going for now. Because I'm playing the waiting game. Addressing previous skepticism about whether a weapon powerful enough to cause such injuries could be portable. Testing. The Pentagon has been testing the device for over a year to understand its capabilities and whether it can reproduce the effects described by victims. Origin. While not entirely Russian in origin, it includes Russian-made components. Right, context. The link to the incidents remain a subject of debate within the U.S. government and intelligence community. In 2023, the broader intelligence community assessment concluded it was very unlikely that a foreign adversary was behind most AHI cases, though some specific cases remain unexplained. However, a 2022 expert intelligence panel had concluded that some cases could plausibly have been caused by pulsed electromagnetic energy from an external source, a finding consistent with the type of technology in the device the U.S. acquired. The acquisition and testing of a physical device has re-energized the debate, with some victims and lawmakers arguing it provides concrete evidence of a foreign attack. Now down here, which I mistakenly put this in twice, but I only need it once, but I copied pulsed radio frequency energy, all right? So it says pulse radio frequency, or RF energy, refers to electromagnetic waves, typically in the microwave or UHF spectrum, emitted in short, high intensity bursts rather than a continuous stream. All right, so it's like a boom, boom, boom thing. All right, that's why I gave the Incredible Hulk movie example. Not saying that is exactly what it's had, what they have, but it just makes me think about that. Like I said, if you pull the scene up, you'll see what I'm talking about. It was like a, like a boom, boom, like a pulse. Okay, instead of a just straight like a, microwave, like a laser beam would shoot. That's a continuous beam. All right, it doesn't, like a Star Wars gun. You pew, 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 pew. All right, that's pulsing. All right, to just have it bzzz, straight and just keep going. All right, that's a continuous beam. All right, if that makes sense to you. So this technology is a primary focus of investigations into anomalous health incidents, or AHIs, also known as Havana syndrome, which I didn't pull it up. It was up above, but it didn't go into it too deeply. But anyways, Havana syndrome. Mechanism and Frey effect. A leading scientific explanation for the symptoms is the microwave auditory effect, or Frey effect. Acoustic generation. Right, brief pulses of RF energy are absorbed by tissues in the head, causing rapid minute thermal expansion. Well, brief pulses of RF energy are absorbed by tissues in the head, causing rapid minute thermal expansion. Perceived sound. This expansion creates pressure waves, thermoelastic waves that travel through the skull to the inner ear, where they are perceived as clicking, buzzing, or piercing sounds, even though no external sound is present. That's crazy, man. But this is the type of stuff Esau has, and a lot more. Okay, and he's going to use it against, you Jakes, and he's even going to use it against American citizens, because they're the people. When I say American citizens, I mean heathens that are here, especially Esau, because their people are just not going to be in line with the government. So they're going to either whip them into the shape or whip them to the grave. Biological effects. While standard RF exposure, like cell phone, is regulated to prevent tissue heating, post-RF energy may cause damage through non-thermal mechanisms. Mechanical stress. Extremely high power pulses can induce mechanical stress in brain tissue that exceeds injury thresholds, potentially leading to neurological lesions. Neurological impact. Studies on animals, they always test on animals, right? Studies on animals have shown that repetitive sub-millisecond pulses can disrupt dopamine levels and impair cognitive functions like learning and memory. So it jacks up your brain. I don't know how long-term or short-term, but imagine being hit with that on the battlefield, and somebody's trying to give you an order from on high, and you don't know what the heck is going on. Like in the movie, what's that one movie? Not Saving Private Ryan, it was another one. It was a very good movie. I forget the name of it, but the dude was shooting next to one guy's ear, and then, eventually he just went deaf. All right. So, he was, they had to basically try to use some broken form of sign language to tell the dude what they were going to do, because he couldn't hear, because all those shots, because, gunshots are loud. All right. And it can affect your hearing. So there was so many loud gunshots and booms and bangs and bombs going off that the dude lost his hearing. And he couldn't talk anymore. It was like two guys that were off by themselves together, and they met with this third guy. I forget the name of it. It was a pretty good army movie, though. Which you probably know what I'm talking about. Somebody probably know what I'm talking about. But anyways, symptom profile. Reported symptoms include intense head pressure, dizziness, nausea, vertigo, and cognitive fog. I don't know what the heck vertigo is. I probably won't pull it up. Maybe I'll copy it, because I probably won't get the chance to pull it up. I'll at least copy it, maybe. If we do, we'll punch it in down below. So weaponization and detection. As a matter of fact, I'm punching it in now. Vertigo. Okay. What took me off? Where was I? Okay, that was that second one I typed in by mistake. Actually, it looks different here. Maybe I'll see what's in there. So weaponization and detection. Post-RF energy is uniquely suited for a covert use because it can penetrate common building materials and is invisible to the human eye. See? Check that out. It can penetrate common building materials. Okay. When they say common, they might be talking about bricks, mortar, maybe even stone. I'm not sure about metal. Sheetrock though. Yeah, the common building material. Nothing too heavy duty. Okay. It also says, yep, can penetrate common building materials and is invisible to the human eye. Portability. Recent intelligence assessments suggest these devices can be compact enough to fit into a backpack and powered by standard batteries. All right, so this is a small portable version of this, whatever this weapon is. Detection challenges. The pulses can be extremely short, nanoseconds, making them difficult to detect without specialized high-speed equipment. Yeah, because a nanosecond is, quicker than what we can imagine. So imagine that being boom in a nanosecond. Then another pulse, a nanosecond. It's just that quick, that rapid. Military use. Beyond human targets, similar technology is used in directed energy weapons. There you go. See, dudes. All right. To disrupt or destroy electronic components in drones and missiles. Are you looking for? Okay, I don't need your help there. Yes, yeah, I mistakenly put it in twice, but of course, it gave us actually a couple different things here. Yeah, let's go in here where it says the Frey effect. The Frey effect, microwave auditory effect. Brief pulses of RF energy are absorbed by tissues in the head, causing a minute but rapid thermal expansion. This generates a thermoelastic pressure wave that travels through the skull via bone conduction in the inner ear, where it is perceived as clicking, buzzing, or hissing even without external sound. It's the same thing I popped in by mistake, but it's slightly different now. Non-thermal neuromodulation. Research indicates that pulsed energy can affect neuronal activity without significant heating. High power pulses can induce mechanical stress on brain tissue, potentially leading to neurological lesions or cognitive deficits. And last thing says there's more below. Biological modulation. In medical settings, low dose pulsed RF is used to treat chronic pain by disrupting pain signaling to the central nervous system and reducing pro-inflammatory cytokines or cytokines. Clinical, I don't want all that. Current developments. Yeah. So let's get down here to vertigo real quick. Is a specific type of dizziness characterized by the false sensation that you are or your surroundings are spinning, tilting, or swaying. All right, I'm gonna have to pause. All right, so it says it is a core symptom reported by victims of Havana syndrome, anomalous health incidents often described as a sudden, debilitating loss of balance following a sensory event. Vertigo in the context of Havana syndrome. The sensation, unlike general lightheadedness, victims describe a directional sensation of being pushed or spinning, sometimes accompanied by intense head pressure or loud clicking noises. Proposed cause. Investigators suspect that pulsed radio frequency energy interacts with the inner ear's vestibular system, triggering the brain to perceive movement where there is none. The Frey effect, all right? It says triggering the brain to perceive movement where there is none. It's called the Frey effect. Probably not going to get into all that. Yeah, that's pretty much it there on this. There's something I thought was interesting, and I wanted to pull it up, and I went into it. So I wanted to get a couple words. But what I want to do is, because as we mentioned, Esau has all this kind of technology, man. Different types of weapons that we know of, and probably a lot more that we don't know of that he's going to use on, Babylon, in general. Maybe even in the wars, who knows? But he's definitely going to probably pull out things against, the so-called American citizens, man. But we don't really care about everybody else in particular. Talking about you 2/3. Trying to think where I want to go. We can get. Yeah, we can get Daniel 7 real quick, just for a brief verse, because it does say that he will make war. How's it? War against the saints or something like that. So we're out the saints of the Most High. I think it's up above here. Trouble me. Might be looking over it. I can always just type it in. I'm probably looking over it. But it says, wear out the saints. Wear out. I almost want to say it was verse 20, but I might be wrong. 25. All right, let's pull it up. 725. Okay, I just looked. Yeah, I said that's what I said. I looked over it. Yep, because I looked right at this verse. Yeah, and he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High. And that's not a noun thing. That's basically a historical thing. That's been an ongoing thing. Because we've been from captivity to captivity to captivity. We just happen to be in Esau's captivity as of right now, because he's the one who the earth has been given into the hands of. And he shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time, and a times, and a dividing of time. Which those were prophetic years, 350 years. And on a small side note, from 1619 to 1969. All right, that's when the truth started to spring up right here in Babylon, 1969, 1970. All right, but I want to get one more thing. We'll probably close it off. Just want to get a couple scriptures at least. Going into talk about how Esau is going to come. Because he's been doing that just, this thus far. Warring against the saints, he's going to also bring out technology he's going to use. All that is good there. The third part starts to deal with the southern kingdom, though. Let's get some of this, a little bit of this. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels. All right, Michael the archangel against Esau, and is probably more in the whole army or whatever. But they have a space force and an air force, because those are the things that take flight, or at least the air force. I don't really know what space force is going to do. But they can also try to fire from the ground from a tank or whatever. I don't know how helpful that's going to be. They do have the lasers now, the dudes. Don't know how helpful that's going to be either, because either way you're looking at it, you're fighting against the chariots and the angels. And that's why it says, and prevail not. In other words, their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil, talking about the Edomites, and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. Okay. Yeah, let's just read down. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now has come salvation and strength, and the kingdom of our power, and the power of his Messiah. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down. It's talking about Esau. You can go all the way back to, really can go back to Cain and Abel if you like to, but Jacob and Esau. Okay, the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our power day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they love not their lives unto the death. These are talking about the faithful believers, all right? And really, in a sense, mainly the 144,000, whoever they may be, because it says, and by the word of their testimony, the prophets, the teachers, but you have a whole faithful believer, right? The 144,000, which are all men, then the other men, women, children, okay, who the Lord is going to deliver, which are the innumerable multitude from this great tribulation, from the hands of Esau. Deliver us from the hands of the strange children. I might pull that up. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe unto the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. And when the dragon saw that he was cast into the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child. So who's the woman that brought forth the man-child? It's the nation of Israel. Okay, and because the man-child is talking about Yahushua. And like it says in Matthew 11:12, the kingdom of heaven suffereth violence, and the violent take it by force. Okay, you do it, condemn and kill the just, and he do it not resist you. Okay, so that's what you see happening. All right, which is the opening, because they've always done things. People are being lynched still, and other things are happening, but they really kicked off Jacob's trouble and their aggression against the tribes by weaponizing ICE and border patrol. So it says, and when the dragon saw that he was cast into the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man child. And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time and times and a half a time from the face of the serpent. And that's when we were, in particular, the southern kingdom, because the northern kingdom did come over here to the west as well, after the Assyrian captivity. But the southern kingdom was definitely were taken over here against our will. Okay, all up and down the coast of the east, and we were brought over here to the Americas to join up with the northern tribes, man. The children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together. That happened here in Babylon. Okay, vast history there, but we all had the same history with the same people, which were these Edomites. Whether they came as Spaniards, conquistadors, pilgrims, Puritans, whatever name they wanted to give themselves, they were Edomites. All right, nonetheless. Okay, so which that also goes into some history. After 70 AD, scattering, the bulk of us hit out in Africa. Eventually, they picked us up from Africa in that slave trade. Trading us for the guns and rum and whatever else, goods. All right, picking up the slaves and taking them across the borders to reap the fields, and everything that was here in America. And those supplies would get sent back home across the seas, and they would bring more supplies back down south to Africa, and that was a triangular trade. That's what we were caught up in. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. And that's flood sometimes is water is a flood. Sometimes is equivalent to a military might or strength. All right, his power, his prowess. Okay, the scripture says he had the teeth of a lion and the cheek teeth of a great lion. All right. Then there's another scripture that says he's going to break the teeth. Okay. What is that? Military might, because that's what that's what we need the Lord for and the angels to fight. All right. Because other than spiritual powers only the men are going to have, but at the forefront of these things, Yahweh shine the angels, man, because we're not going to be able to fight against Esau and what he has. Okay. So our hope is in the Lord. We're at the mercy of the Lord. The earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. And the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed. See, going all the way back to even what Esau said: the days of mourning my father right hand, and once we bury him, I'm gonna kill you, Jacob. Okay. Now he didn't say it exactly like that, but I'll just put some oomph to it, because that's exactly what's in his mind. Amos chapter 1, Obadiah 1. Okay. He kept his anger, the terror perpetually, and so on and so forth. Okay. And they have not let their foot up off of our necks yet, and they're not going to. They don't plan on it. Their plan is to chip however many Israelites we can. Whoever ain't with it, kill them. All right. If they against the system, kill them. Okay. The dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of the power and have the testimony of Yahweh Shai. What's the testimony of Yahweh Shai? The spirit of prophecy. Revelation 19:10. Let me pull this up real quick. Strange children. I think it's the Psalms, if I'm correct. Yeah, it is right here. Let's just read what's on the screen. Psalms 144:5. Bow the heavens, O Lord Yahweh, and come down. Touch the mountains, and they shall smoke. Cast forth lightning, and scatter them. Shoot out thine arrows, and destroy them. Send thine hand from above, rid me, and deliver me out of great waters, from the hand of strange children, whose mouth speaketh vanity, and their right hand is a right hand of falsehood. And the scriptures even say that the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel. That's pretty much all we wanted. We really just want that verse 8 there. Whose mouth speaketh vanity, and their right hand is a right hand of falsehood. Actually, that's not the one. Here it is, 7. Well, I guess 7 and 8. Send thine hand from above, rid me, and deliver me out of great waters, from the hand of strange children. And help is on the way. And that help is going to be his right arm, which is Yahushua. Okay. Who is this that coming from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? This that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. Him that speaketh in righteousness, mighty to save. That's Yahushua, man. That's the help that's coming. Aside from spiritual powers, let me get a couple on those since that is somewhat part of the topic. Because we're not going to be able to fight against East. We're not even supposed to fight at all. The weapons of our warfare are not carnal. Zephaniah 3:8, wait ye upon me to the day that I rise up to pray. But the Lord is going to give his men spiritual powers, man, to defend themselves and others that believe. Jeremiah 16:16, behold, I will send for many fishers, saith the Lord Yahweh, and they shall fish them. That's the prophet's teaching. All right. The scriptures say that the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a net cast out to the sea or something like that. And it brought in good fish and bad fish. All right. Because we have clean fish that we can eat and unclean that we can't eat. And so the 2/3 are like, the unclean fish. You got to throw them back out. There's nothing you can do with them. But the clean fish are likened unto those that are the remnant. And those are the ones that you keep. But anyways, it says, and after I will send for many hunters, and they shall hunt them from every mountain and from every hill and out of the holes of the rocks. See, I think there's another one in where is it? I think it's 41:16. We're gonna find out. Yeah, 41:15. Let's get 14. Hold up, hold on. Let's get 13. Isaiah 41:13. For I, the Lord Yahweh, with thy power, will hold thy right hand, saying unto thee, fear not, I will help thee. See, we just talked about help. I will help thee. Fear not thou worm Jacob, and ye men of Israel, because we're helpless without the Lord. Without Yahweh being sent back, we out of there. I will help thee, said the Lord Yahweh, and thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. Because our salvation is the Lord. But how is he going to achieve that salvation? Through Yahweh. Behold, I will make thee a new sharp threshing instrument, having what? Teeth, that power, that might, that strength. See? Thou shalt thresh the mountains and beat them small, and shall make the hills chaff. Okay? And one of the first orders of business is in Psalms 149, to bind their kings with chains and the nobles with fetters of iron. Because we're gonna be given the order, or will we of their number, to fish them out of the mountains and the other places that they're hiding in their bunkers. They're dumbs, right? Dumbs. Of all things, the Lord got a sense of humor, man. Dumbs, deep underground military bunkers or something like that. They're little installations, man. And because these nations are gonna want to buck up, and the Lord's going to allow his men to get busy, get a workout in. Thou shalt fan them, and the wind shall carry them away, and the whirlwind shall scatter them, and because of course the chariots are going to be here too. All right, and thou shalt, because I think there's another scripture. Is it Isaiah 66? It talks about the whirlwind, right? The chariots, man. Okay, he rebukes with flames of fire or something like that. But yeah, because there's a scripture that I actually got a saying from, where I always say, may Yahweh Shai have his way with you in the whirlwind. Talking to you heathens, and even you 2/3, because you're enemies of the Lord and of the Messiah and of the remnant. And the whirlwind shall scatter them, and thou shalt rejoice in the Lord Yahweh, and shalt glory in the Holy One of Israel. See? When the poor and needy seek water, and there is none, and their tongue faileth for thirst, I, Yahweh, will hear them. I, the power of Israel, will not forsake them. There you go. I will open rivers in high places and fountains in the midst of the valleys. I will make the wilderness a pool of water, and the dry land springs of water. Beautiful, see? And so this is what we're waiting for, the Lord to come. As a matter of fact, there's one more. Since we're on that topic, I think it's in, is that 25 or 26? It might be this chapter here. There it is. We won't get the main culprit because there's other people mentioned, other nations mentioned, but we're going to get the main one, Esau. Ezekiel 25:12. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, because that Edom have dealt against the house of Judah by taking vengeance, and had greatly offended and revenged himself upon them. See? Where is that? I think that's in the blessing they received, because remember their blessing is a sword.
Revelation 6 and 4, they were given a great sword to take peace from the earth, that they should kill one another. Going back to originally, Genesis the 27th chapter, all right, like 39 or 40, they have the fatness of the earth and the dew from heaven above, and that they should live by the sword, okay, and or is that in Amos? But wherever the point that I'm trying to make is where it says the eventually they will break the yoke of iron, not the yoke of iron, but man, I forget exactly how it's worded. But they will basically eventually break free, because I forget what the scripture is right now. It slipped me. But they will break free, which happened, in the ancient times, because under King David, he had every heathen in subjection and garrisons around, especially around Edom. But eventually they broke free, and then through history, which we have the history in the Bible, and things that we can research, secular or whatever, we see the revenge that they've taken, upon themselves against us. Therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, I will also stretch out my hand upon Edom, all right, the so-called self-proclaimed white man that a lot of our people love so much, but he hates you, all right, and will cut off men and beasts from it, and I will make it desolate from Teman, and they of Dedan shall fall by the sword, and I will lay my vengeance upon Edom by the hand of my people Israel, see, and they shall do in Edom according to mine anger and according to my fury, and they shall know my vengeance, said the Lord Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushua. We will leave it right there. I actually probably just might put this all into the little current state news that we had there, little few news clips there. So I'll just say enjoy the rest of the news. Lord, will you edify?
The Indian Army displayed its military prowess during the Army Day parade in the city of Jaipur. It featured indigenous weapon systems and also technological advancements, showcasing India's leap as a military power. Let's take a look at some of these images.
बड़ी संख्या में नागरिकों की उपस्थिति यह दर्शाती है कि सेना और जनता के बीच कितना गहरा संबंध है। आपका उत्साह और समर्थन हर सैनिक का मनोबल बढ़ाता है। प्रक्रिया के अंतर्गत भैरव बटालियन, अश्विनी प्लेटून, शक्तिबान रेजिमेंट, दिव्यास्त्र बैटरी जैसे नई इकाइयां खड़ी की गई हैं, जिनको आज आपने परेड के दौरान खुद देखा हुआ। ये संरचनाएं भविष्य की चुनौतियों के अनुरूप एक एजाइल, रिस्पॉन्सिव और मिशन ओरिएंटेड सेना के निर्माण को दर्शाती हैं।
Warned a NATO alliance collapse over Trump's Greenland threats would be the end of the world as we know it. It comes after crunch talks between America, Denmark and Greenland in Washington on Wednesday, which failed to resolve the fundamental disagreement over the mineral-rich island. As tensions build, Poland's Prime Minister Donald Tusk has issued a chilling warning.
Dzisiaj to jest może nie miejsce i nie czas na dokładną analizę geopolitycznych i militarnych konsekwencji ewentualnej interwencji zbrojnej Stanów Zjednoczonych w Grenlandii. To byłaby w sensie politycznym tak czy inaczej i z naszego punktu widzenia katastrofa. Czy konflikt, czy próba zaboru terytorium państwa, które jest członkiem NATO, przez drugie państwo, które jest członkiem NATO, i to są w dodatku Stany Zjednoczone, no to byłby koniec świata takiego świata, jaki znamy i który nam przez dziesięciolecia gwarantował bezpieczeństwo.
Trump has repeatedly argued the US must own Greenland, an autonomous territory of Denmark, to prevent Russia or China from gaining a foothold in the Arctic.
I'm not talking about money for Greenland yet. I might talk about that. But right now, we are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not, because if we don't do it, Russia or China will take over Greenland, and we're not going to have Russia or China as a neighbor. Okay? I would like to make a deal, the easy way, but if we don't do it the easy way, we're going to do it the hard way.
The president's rhetoric has already put huge strain on relations between allies. This week, NATO allies France, Sweden and Germany sent military personnel to Greenland, joining Denmark in a bid to strengthen the island's security.
Au Groenland, territoire autonome du Royaume de Danemark, les Européens ont une responsabilité particulière, car ce territoire appartient à l'Union européenne, car ce territoire est aussi celui d'un de nos alliés de l'OTAN. La France a décidé de se joindre à l'exercice qui a été programmé et lancé par le Danemark de manière souveraine et indépendante dans le cadre d'Arctic Endurance. Une première équipe de militaires français est déjà sur place et sera renforcée dans les prochains jours par des moyens terrestres, aériens et maritimes.
After Wednesday's meeting, Greenland's Foreign Minister Vivian Motzfeldt said the island must strengthen its cooperation with the US.
It's very important to say it again that how important it is from our side to strengthen our cooperation with the United States, but that doesn't mean that we want to be owned by the United States.
But Poland is keeping its distance. Tusk stressed that while Europe must stand united, Warsaw would not contribute troops. He added that he would do everything he could to ensure Europe remained united to the issue of Greenland.
I don't think troops in Europe impact the president's decision-making process, nor does it impact his goal of the acquisition of Greenland at all.
China military aircraft just flew into Iranian airspace despite Iran's airspace being officially closed, according to flight tracking data shared by online aviation monitors. The aircraft were tracked flying from Guangzhou and Shenzhen toward Tehran during a period when Iran had temporarily shut its airspace to most civilian traffic amid heightened regional tensions. The closure prompted many international airlines to cancel or reroute flights, leaving large parts of the region's skies largely empty. The flight stood out because only limited, authorized aircraft were allowed to operate during the shutdown. While the aircraft have been described online as Chinese military planes, neither Chinese nor Iranian authorities have confirmed the nature of the flights. Available flight data links the routes to Mayan Air, an Iranian airline that operates regular services between China and Iran. Iranian officials have not publicly explained why the flights were permitted while most others were barred. Aviation experts note that governments can grant special clearances during temporary airspace closures, especially for pre-approved or state-linked flights.
Something strange happened over Iran, and the sky told the story. Not explosions, not sirens, silence. An unnatural silence. Look up at Iran's airspace and you see almost nothing. No crowded flight path, no steady stream of commercial jets, no casual east-west traffic at all. Just emptiness. This is unusual, right? Iran normally sits at the heart of global air routes. Asia to Europe, Europe to the Middle East. Busy, constant, alive. But overnight the skies went all quiet except for 2 planes. Just 2, and that is where the story turns explosive here. The only aircraft seen over Iran, it belonged to Mahan Air, an Iranian airline already under US sanctions, accused by Washington of moving weapons, accused of carrying equipment, accused of acting as a logistics arm for Iran's powerful Revolutionary Guard. These were not any random flights basically. So where did they come from? Southern China. One flight from Guangzhou, another one from Shenzhen. Both took the same direction, both headed west, both flew straight towards Tehran. Wait, no other commercial plane followed? None crossed Iranian airspace, none passed through. Just 2 of these planes. Alone in the sky? This raises a sharp question here. If civilian flights are grounded because of tensions, then why are these planes flying over Iran? And what exactly are they carrying? Well, the timing makes it even more suspicious. US and Iran tensions are peaking. Military alerts are rising, threats and warnings, they are flying on the ground. And in the air, China-linked routes, they quietly move towards Iran. Officially though, nothing has happened. No cargo list released, no public explanation given. But intelligence watchers, they are alarmed because this looks less like commercial and more like coordination. And you know why China matters here? Because Beijing has strong ties with Tehran. Energy, trade, strategic alignment against the US pressure here. If military equipment is moving, this changes the balance. And the airspace, it tells its own story. When commercial airlines stay away, it means risk is high. When sanctioned carriers fly anyway, it means urgency. And this is how modern power moves. Not always with convoys, not always with ships, sometimes with quiet flights through empty skies. Washington is watching, so are regional militias, militaries, and intelligence agencies, because if arms are moving now, they are moving for a reason.